Hello and welcome! This character profile video is for the class Invoker. And what you'll see is all of her skills, the top 8 PVE and PVP skills that I recommend, her skill combos, enhancements, player card, and a gameplay video. So, without further ado, I give you the class Invoker. Here we go. And welcome to the skills slide. If you are new to my character profile videos, allow me to introduce the interface. On the left are all of her skills. On the far right are all of the specials that go with those skills. Then there's charges, which is how many times you can use the skill. And then there's hits, how many times the skill will hit a creature or opponent. And then there's damage-PVE. That's the highest percentage damage that skill will do against a creature in the world. And then there's damage-PVP, which is the highest percentage damage that skill will do against another player's character. And of course, the passive at the bottom. So the first thing I like to show you or tell you about is in the special side. If you see the word super armor and it's colored in red, look at the bottom left corner. That just means it's not applied in arena. The super armor will work everywhere else in the game, but just not in arena. So take a moment to look at all this, and when you're ready, we're going to move on to the top 8 PvE skills that I recommend. Here we go. And welcome to the PVE Slide. It is organized according to the column of damage-PVE, from the highest percentage at the top all the way down to the lowest. And Gigavolt is your highest damaging skill. So why is there a section colored in green? That is because we can only take 8 skills into the world at a time. And these are the 8 that I recommend because of the highest percentage. So if you are new to playing this character or just a game in general and you want to know what skills to go out there and fight with, this is the recommendation. Over time, you'll develop which ones work best for you and that you like. But for now, this is what I recommend. So take a moment to look at all this. When you're ready, we're going to go to the top 8 PvP skills that I recommend. Here we go. And welcome to the PvP slide. We have a lot to cover on this slide, so let's go ahead and get down to the basics. I have organized all the skills according to the column of damage-PVP, from the highest percentage at the top all the way down to the lowest. And Gigavolt remains your highest damaging skill. Now, everyone who does PvP always wants to know what skills with super armor can I use in arena, since you've already told me the ones I can't. Looking at this list, it is 2 skills. It is Fissure and Cataclysm. So I highly recommend Fissure because it's just a little bit higher in the DPS, but they're kind of similar and close, so you have your choice of which one to go with. But once you get your super armor in, then it's Gigavolt, Lightning Storm, Fissure or Cataclysm, or both, and repeat, and you'll have a good set of combos going on. Now, at the very bottom, I wanted to talk about the passive, and here's what makes Invoker special. She has 2 passives, similar to Lupa, and that is she has a sidekick. His name is Tett. If you're familiar with content that's just recently come out, Tett also appears in a world boss fight. So you have an option to summon him or not. And you also have the option to tell him to attack or tell him to come back and not attack. So now that you know that, let's go over what the passive is for Thunder. I'm going to go ahead and just read what it says there. When your MP is higher than 80, it consumes all the MP and applies the Thunder state for 15 seconds. And what you get is damage against all bosses plus 10%, an increase to damage to adventurers by 10%, Gigavolt skill damage is increased by 30%, all the more reason to use Gigavolt since it is your highest damaging skill. Once your thunder kicks in, then it's even more powerful. And Voltaic Burst and Gigavolt have a cooldown reduction of 0.5 seconds upon use of the skill. And this one is the one that I reworded. I'm most excited about is if you hit with all of your skills except Bodyguard and add Sphere of Mastery, that's your basic standard attack, it applies 150 damage every second for 3 seconds. So you're doing 450 damage. I think I did the math right there. Yep, 450 damage to your opponent. And I know you're like, well, that doesn't sound like much. But here's the thing. She constantly gets this passive active. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut to a video where I show you what the passive looks like when it's active, and you will see for yourself how easy it is for her passive to flow out and just be part of the damage she does. So give me a moment, let me cue up that video. Here we go. And here we go. So what I want you to see is that any skill that does lightning damage or electricity damage will activate your passive, and there's only the 2 skills, Bodyguard and Add Sphere of Mastery, that does not. And this is what your passive looks like. It's a bluish green aura around you. So what we're going to do is I want you to pay attention to your blue bar at the bottom and see it fill up. We're going to just let her loose, and I want you to see that it's fills up, is consumed, fills up, and her passive pretty much remains active the whole time. So let's go ahead and get her going, and you'll see Tett come out. Now, one more thing to point out is I tapped on Tett to come out. That's the 2 icons above your skills in top left of them. The first circle is summoning Tett or removing Tett, and the one next to it on the left is to allow him to attack or not. When it's highlighted, he attacks. When it's not highlighted, he will come back and hang with you. So let's go ahead and get ready to head back to the PvP slide so we can keep going from there. Here we go. And we're back. So now that you have a really good understanding of the top 8 PvP skills, the 2 skills that you would shoot for super armor, Fissure and Cataclysm, and you also have a good idea of how the passives work for summoning Tett and what the Thunder passive is and how it works. Overall, I wouldn't stress over the details of the passive. Just be aware of what you're getting, and you definitely want Voltaic Burst and Gigavolt in your lineup of skills that you use so you can take advantage of those buffs. So take a moment to look at everything on this slide, and when you're ready, we'll move on to the skill combos. Here we go. And welcome to the skill combo slide. Before we get into how this works, allow me to tell you where you can find it. If you're in the game and you bring up the menu and you look over to the right hand side where the tile says skill, or skills I believe, you tap on that. Now you're on your skills screen, and if you look to the middle and down, you'll see an icon that looks like a magnifying glass with a circle around it, and of course it says skill combos to the right. Tap on that and you'll bring this up, the list of skill combos. This is a suggestion from Pearl Abyss. If you're unsure of how do I make combos work with this character? These are their suggestions. And now that you know where to find it, this is how it works. The skills on the left hand side that are colored blue are the ones you would start with. And then the graphic of chaining into the next skill is in gray on the right. So it's no surprise for even the PvP people that Fissure and Cataclysm at the top are the ones that give you super armor in Arena. And it's no surprise that they want you to chain that into your highest damaging skill, which is Gigavolt. So what they're also saying is if you look at Cataclysm, that you can do that and move into Electric Wave instead of Gigavolt. This is all your choice and your option, but this slide is meant to give you the ideas on how to do combos, and over time, like I said previously, you'll get to know what skills work with what and how you like to play. But for now, this is a good starting point. So take a moment to look at this, and when you're ready, we're going to move on to the Enhancement Slide. Here we go. And welcome to the Enhancement Slide. If you are new to this slide, allow me to introduce the interface. On the left hand side are all of her skills. On the far right hand side is all of the branch damage connected to these skills. And then the 4 columns in the center, the first, second, and fourth one are things that you unlock that benefit your Invoker. The third column are things that you unlock that does something against the creature or player's opponent you are fighting. Now, there are some times where I get where it just doesn't work out that way. For example, the skill Bodyguard. If you look all the way to the third column, it says plus 5% move speed for 10 seconds on hit. That is not a negative against a creature or player's opponent you're fighting. That is a buff for you when it's unlocked. And while we're on the subject, how do you unlock these enhancements? You just fight creatures in the world in Elion or Hadum. So in Elion, you fight them and you get skill books. You learn those skill books with silver and you raise the level of your skill. For example, let's just say Electric Wave at the top, and you want to unlock the plus 10% attack range with it, so that your Electric Wave will have a 10% more range when you use it. But let's just say it has a level requirement. It would be a red number next to that enhancement. So you get the skill books, it's random, but when you learn and you reach that level requirement that it's saying, then you just pay silver, unlock it, and congratulations, it is now Electric Wave with a 10% longer range. The goal is to unlock all of these. However, there are some that you may want to think about. So let's go ahead and introduce that. First of all, if you look at Voltaic Burst and you go all the way over to the far right where it says Forward Guard instead of Super Armor. Now, Forward Guard is a definition on the player cards slide that I have for you, but the gist is if there's a enemy in front of you and they want to damage you from the front to you, that damage can be 0 or severely reduced. However, if they try to immobilize you, all bets are off. They'll knock you down, they'll get a couple hits in, and Forward Guard doesn't help out very much. So it's your choice whether you'd want to swap out Super Armor, which if you don't know what that is, it's also on the player card slide, the definition. But in a word, anything that trips you up and knocks you down so that your opponent or the creature can get a few more hits in, you're preventing that by using and activating the super armor. So Don't know why someone would want to give that up for forward guard, but it's your play style. So that is something to think about right there. I want to call attention to the skill Cataclysm. You see how it says heal and it's colored differently? That just means that when you unlock it, she will heal herself when you use Cataclysm, but not in Path of Glory. Path of Glory, she won't heal, but everywhere else, it's all good. So take a moment to look at all of these enhancements, and when you are ready, we're going to move on to the player card. Here we go. And welcome to the player card. It is like a baseball card. It is all the previous slides you've just seen, all put together on one slide, and something new. So allow me to introduce how it works. At the very top is the top 8 PVE and PVP skills that I recommend, and to the right of that is something new. It is called immobilization. So anytime a skill knocks you down, knocks you up in the air, just, immobilizes you so that your opponent or creature can get a couple hits in, that is the definition of immobilization for me. And what you're looking at is the skills, and in green that yes, it has an immobilization component to it, and then the next column is how many of those do you have. And looking at her list, it looks like Static Shield and Voltaic Burst are very much high on the list of immobilizations. So if you recall the passive for Thunder, it really looks like Voltaic Burst and Gigavolt are neck and neck for importance. So Gigavolt being your highest damaging skill, and Voltaic Burst not only being a decent damage for a skill, but has more immobilizations than the rest. Now, if you're asking why do I even care about this, when it comes to super armor, which the definition at the bottom will tell you, it's a protection, the super armor, so that somebody can't knock you down. But we don't know when that protection's gonna stop. So if you and I are fighting and I'm throwing Static Shield and Voltaic Burst and a couple others at you, that's a lot of immobilizations and a higher percentage that I will get one in on you when your super armor leaves. So there's that chance, and over time you'll be like, hey, this is really working out. All the immobilizations I'm throwing at my opponent, I'm gonna keep on this. So that is why it's important. If you wanted to know, well, Static Shield, what do you mean by immobilization? Look at the skills list below. Static Shield, all the way over to the right. It knocks your creature or opponent back on the first hit, and it knocks them down on the last hit. That's an immobilization. And that's the 2 right there. So that's how it works. And below that is the enhancements, and below that is just the legend for what's not applied in Path of Glory and Arena. And now we get to the definition of forward guard and super armor. So forward guard, this means that incoming damage will either be 0 or heavily reduced. You already know the gist of how it works. Here's a little more detail. If your opponent is in front of you, or in the front and right or front left, and they're trying to attack you, like I said, the damage is going to be 0 or heavily reduced. But if they get behind you, all bets are off and they can damage you. So it's a risk, but it depends on your play style. This really can work out if this is what you like. Now, super armor, this means that damage will be reduced, and the effects that immobilize you, like stun, knockdown, freeze, etc., will not happen for a duration of time. We will never know what that duration is, and Pearl Abyss will never tell us what that duration is. Otherwise, you can exploit it, and what's the fun in that? So, just know that you're doing all the immobilizations in hopes that the super armor for your opponent will run out at that time. You'll see. So take a moment to look at all of this, and when you're ready, The music is gonna change and we're gonna go into the gameplay video where we show you what the Invoker can do. Here we go. And welcome to the gameplay video. Before we get started, let us show you where we're at. We're over here in Balanos, and we are at... Oh, let me change that. We're at Kron Castle entrance. And we are here because their CP is 2519 and our CP is 4524. And we love it here. She'll be fine. The way this works is we will use this auto path and we'll have her fight for about 2 or 3 minutes, at which time we'll go back to town, I'll give my outro and say thank you. So, without further ado, I am pleased to present to you Invoker. Here we go. And it's just about time for us to head back to town. Here we go. And let me just take this moment to say thank you. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you like my videos, please subscribe, like, let people know. I am always making more videos and there's a lot more to do. So what we're going to do now is put our Invoker in a pose or position. Let's also get Tett out here. Such a dramatic way to come in. He's got flair. Oops, we zoomed out. We need to zoom in. There we go. That looks about right. Yeah, that's good. Okay, let's go ahead and see if she can give us a wave. Perfect. And once again, thank you. Thank you very much for watching this video. You have yourself a great day. Take care. Bye now.